And I tell people, I said, governing is not difficult. I mean, the theory of governing is not difficult. I told him, I said, I'm an animal science major from Texas A&M. I get this. You don't have to be a PhD from Harvard in political science to understand the theories of governing. You have to have, well, there's a real simple one. Don't spend all the money. I'm teaching that one to my daughter right now, Senator. Don't spend all the money. Reduce the burden of taxation as light of a burden as it can be. Have a regulatory climate that is fair and balanced and predictable. Have a legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing. Certainly protect those that have been wrongfully impacted in your society and make sure they have their day in court. But don't allow the frivolous lawsuits to be filed. And the fourth part of that theory is to continue to fund an accountable public school system so that you have a skilled workforce when those companies move into your state. And that's what we've done. That is what we implemented in the state of Texas. In 2003, we rolled in their $10 billion budget deficit, and we basically said, listen, we're going to do what we said we would do. And it's not going to be fun. There are going to be cries and anguish, and the major newspapers all across the state of Texas said, it's time for y'all to admit you got to pass a personal income tax. There's no way that you can cut that much out of that state budget. We'll be the laughingstock of America. People will move away from this state and they won't come back. The colleges will be losing professors. It'll be woe is me. These principal individuals knew instinctively that they were wrong. And that if we made those reductions, that our state would be stronger. That's exactly what they did. As a matter of fact, in 2003, they also passed that same session that they dealt with that big $10 billion budget deficit. They passed the most sweeping tort reform in the nation. Today, it is still talked about all across the country as the most impactful. We have doctors moving to the state of Texas from all across America today because they know they can come here and practice medicine and not be frivolously sued. It is a powerful message that is emanating out of the state. As I've said earlier, every week it seems like, or almost daily sometimes, there will be a story about the state of Texas being #1 place to do business. As a matter of fact, day before yesterday, Forbes magazine, new list came out. The best cities in America to have a job in. The best cities in America to live in, to have a good job. #1, Houston, Texas. #2, Dallas, Texas. #4, Austin, Texas. 3 out of the top 4 in the state of Texas. Day after day, it's the principled approach that the Texas legislature created that environment. And I don't get confused. Then it is the men and women in this audience who implement those policies, who enjoy the thoughtful approach to governing that these individuals have put into place. And we are truly the envy of the other 49 states. As I travel, not just across Texas, but as I get the opportunity to go to other states and recruit their businesses back to Arnold does not like to see me coming to California. But the fact is that we got a great story to tell. I tell people, I said, listen, you think about 20 years ago. Mike, think about how tough it was right here along the Gulf Coast in 1989. You think about where we found ourselves. Inflation, the unemployment. You stand on that south steps of that Capitol, Senator, and look south and you can see the river through the buildings. I mean, it was a brutal time to live in this state. Economically, it was a tough period of time to be in the state of Texas. But over the course of the next 20 years, and particularly the last 6 years as we implemented policies that dealt with our our transportation, our tax, regulatory, and our legal system, and continue. One thing I'm really proud of, Mike, that you guys did, that shows the principled approach to governing, is it wasn't just, oh, we got $10 billion, let's just go cut across the board. They prioritized. At the same time they were cutting $10 billion out of the state budget, they put $1.8 billion more into public education. You see, that's the thoughtful way to govern. That's the reason that Texas continues to lead the nation. There is a reason that we are the home to more Fortune 500 companies than any other state. There is a reason that we are the #1 exporting state. In 2008, your home state created more jobs than the other 49 states combined. Mayor Giuliani said Texans and New Yorkers have some similarities. They're both arrogant. I told him, I said, with all due respect, sir, no, we're not. I told him, I said, when you can do it, it ain't bragging. We took that conversation to the next level, talking about how does America find itself out of this recession that it's in. And I told him, I said, one of the reasons I've been such a powerful advocate of the 10th Amendment, one of the reasons I've talked about state sovereignty and the states having the right to make the decisions that are best interest of their citizens, rather than some big, huge monster government in Washington, D.C. mandating down to the other 50 states. I said, it's the competition between the states that will bring America out of this recession that we're in. I said, I hope he runs for governor of New York. I hope a guy with his type of fiscal responsibility, his crime-fighting background and his record, that he runs for governor of New York. I had made a decision. I said, I hope you do, because I said, I need people like you as governors of other states to make me be more competitive. I want you changing the tax structure in New York and the regulatory climate in New York. I want you to pass tort reform in New York, where you put Texas in a position of, hey, listen, we've got to go out there and work a little harder to keep our businesses from going to New York. That's how America became the great country that it is, and the great country that it can be in the future. But I really worry about if we allow a federal government to stand upon high and mandate to us how we build our highways, how we educate our kids, how we deliver health care, how our energy policy. Now folks, this may sound a little bit over the top for a Chamber of Commerce banquet, but let me tell you, you better get in the fight here. If they pass that cap and trade bill that they're talking in Washington, D.C., it will destroy this part of America. That's not partisan, that's not political, that's just the God's honest truth. And I think it's really important for us that if we're here to be about jobs, and we're here to be about job creation and wealth and being able to take care of our families, we got to stand up and talk about what this isn't a Democrat or Republican issue. This is about what's best for America. And I got to think that, when you talk about 25% of the energy in the world, or our country, coming from right down here in your district, it's important for us to stand up for the jobs and the wealth, and that we're doing it right in this country. And I'm proud of that. Boy, I've gone way off my script here, so I apologize for getting a little passionate about it. But I really do. I'm so passionate about the state of Texas leading this country, because we truly have put in place practices and principles and policies that are making a difference in this state. And when we're a big enough state that when Texas does something, everybody pays attention. It doesn't make any difference whether it's the textbooks that we decide, or whether it's the energy policy, or how we build transportation infrastructure, or whatever it is. If when Texas does something, people pay attention. And I'll tell you what, people are paying attention today and saying, you know what, Texas, you're doing it right. I don't know, without truth serum, if you gave the other 49 governors the question of, would you like your